Hey everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle here with you. It is time once again for a Facebook Live about the winter storm making its way into Oklahoma as we head on into our Friday, and then what will happen with that storm as we head into the weekend. There's been thousands upon thousands of questions. I know we got a lot of plans, there's a lot of events. What in the world are you going to do? I hear you, I feel you. It is a very complicated forecast, one of the most tricky ones that you can have in weather forecasting when you're dealing with Arctic air and you're dealing with an upper level storm system. Sometimes that fine line of where the freezing line is and where it's not going to be is so minutely, infinitesimally hard to find and track and predict, and where it's not going to waver or sit still. It's really impossible. So what we do is we try to give you our best educated guess, and so as we get closer to the event, that educated guess will become more educated and less of a guess, and we'll get a little bit better at telling you exactly what you need to know. So we can start with that tonight. We're kind of in that close window now, the short-term models, to where we can get a better idea. So higher resolution, there's more data points, better grid. So that means that the data we see is a lot better, which means the predictions from this point forward will continue to improve as we go every 12 hours. So that's in a nutshell what's happening. For those of you folks, let's see, let me do this here real quick. I think I had that turned off. What I want you to know is we do have some freezing rain coming in as early as Friday morning. So that means your morning commute is going to be in jeopardy as far as the roadways are concerned, especially bridges and overpasses, and probably even some of the main roads. It's going to be questionable because temperatures will be very close, and then we'll get freezing rain off and on throughout the day and some light drizzle, freezing drizzle at that, and that will continue into Friday night and Saturday morning. So if you're here and you just want that quick blurb and then go to bed, go for it. Now the rest of you, I'm going to give you the more detailed look at the forecast, look at temperatures, and I'll tell you what's happening out there. And I think that's going to be beneficial for a lot of you. I think you're really going to like it. Let me see. Let me do one thing here. I'm going to scroll the forecast at the top for everybody who's kind of tuning in late. And that way they can read it, because there's a lot of people that kind of tune in, tune out at different times throughout this Facebook feed. There's just no way around it. So we'll kind of work on that. All right. With that out of the way, let's get to your favorite part, and that's the Meteorological Lesson 101, right? Okay, so if you look up here across, this is the United States on into Canada, and we're focusing right up here. This is, of course, the pole, and we're going to have a region of high pressure form and move due south and then quickly move off to the east. Now, Arctic air typically does not like to go due east, but the models are making it go due east. So I think there's a little bias issue there. I do think it'll make its way a little bit more to the south than indicated, which means we have that threat for ice on into at least Saturday morning. And I think conditions have a potential to improve as we head into Saturday afternoon. So what we'll do is I'll show you as we put this into motion. Right up here, let's see, we'll go at this frame. This is where all the cold air is coming from, and it's already kind of starting to spill on down. And it's a really quick mover once it gets going. And as it does so, bam, there you go. You've got a 1044 high over, looks like Minnesota or Michigan. And that's on Friday morning. So Friday morning, we already have the cold air in place, because the cold air for us is right here. This is the line where the Arctic air, kind of the boundary is. And that's what's kind of sagging on into the state from the north. It's not a huge push, like I said, kind of more of an ooze, if you will. That's the best way you can describe Arctic air. It just kind of oozes on in. Now it's going to be moving off to the east here rather quickly, so what it means for us is a glancing blow. Question is a glancing blow enough to cause trouble all weekend long? Earlier it looked like it was more of a direct blow, and then as miles went on and on, it was more of a glancing blow. So it's just not quite strong enough to really anchor itself in here without starting to get eroded from all of the warm air advection that's going to happen with all the precipitation out there. So that is kind of what you can look at as far as the overall big picture. This is the European model, and it actually has a very strong high, even stronger than the American model. And for it pushes that Arctic boundary pretty much right along the Red River, even down into North Texas. So it really gives a little extra help here in Oklahoma. And believe it or not, the European model has been the most consistent. It's also been the coldest meaning the more ice producing than any of the other models. Now that is actually typical. Your European normally trumps all of their models during the wintertime. Now they made a lot of fine adjustments to the model, and it's been a little bit more on the wishy-washy, flaky end for a few of these past events. So in time, we'll test it and see if that actually made things better or worse, or if it's just about the same. So that's kind of the big picture again from two different of the main models. Now I want to show you, this is the, we talked about this before, you love this little plot I bring up here. And this is the SREF, and it's a lot of different members that go different ways. And what we can track is some of the output here. Now, as we look into, this is going to be Thursday morning. Okay, so Thursday morning is right here. This black line is the median of all these different model runs. The black line is running right at just about 30 degrees. Now, as we go through time, it bumps up to around 32. So it goes up just a little bit during the day on Friday, and then it goes back down to around 30 to 31 for the rest of the track. So this is the median value. Now there are several other values in here that are much less, and this is for Friday, all day Friday. So again, the cold air for the Arctic air comes in here Thursday morning, and we kind of get a little bit of rebound. And Thursday afternoon is what it's saying. And then for Friday, we're right back to around freezing, and we stay there all day long. Now we said some of these are much colder than 30. And this little window right here, these are all between 26, 27 degrees to around 30 degrees, all right? Well, just on the other end, you also have a couple of model runs that are a little bit warmer than that. They're actually closer to 40 for Friday. Now, I'm discounting all of those, and I'm going with the median or colder. Just because, again, I don't think the models will completely grasp the Arctic air at this point. It hasn't been sampled yet. It hasn't even formed yet. The high pressure is not even there. So once that gets sampled, once that forms, so it'll be on Wednesday afternoon, we'll have a much better idea Wednesday night with those model runs than we do today. And even on Thursday morning will be even better because then it'll be making its way into the U.S. So let's take a look at some of the precipitation output here. And let's see, this one did go ahead and start early. Now this is very light freezing drizzle, a little bit of light freezing rain, and this starts, believe it or not, as early as Thursday night. Let's say after midnight, the atmosphere starts to saturate, and definitely by daybreak Friday, we've already got precipitation out there. That's not good news. And this is one of our shorter term models. Now let me look at the temperatures here on Friday morning. Now, this right here in the central part of Oklahoma, in Oklahoma City, is between 29 degrees on the west side and 31 down around Norman, for example. So let me zoom in a little bit more for you. So those are some very cold temperatures right here over central Oklahoma. So you can see it's close to freezing, which is 32, but it's also less than that, which means Friday morning we're going to have some trouble around here. But that's the way it goes when you're dealing with this kind of a situation. We can go to another model here and take a look at their temperatures. This is the same model, but even a finer grid spacing. And we've got a little bit colder. It's 28 degrees on the west side, 30 on the east side, still down in Norman area, about 31. So if we were to plot where the cold front is at this point in time on Friday morning, it's just west of town of Tulsa. So basically, you know, Veneta, Miami, Bartlesville, kind of in this area. It kind of snakes on back here to close to Shawnee, but just probably just on the west side of town, and then it goes all the way back down here toward Lawton, and then probably just around the Altus area. So we'll just call that the basically the Arctic boundary line of where you're going to have temperatures either at or below 32 degrees. So that means all this area in here, every bit of it, from this line to the north and west, is going to be freezing rain or freezing drizzle during the day Friday. And this line is not expected to move. It should pretty much stay anchored. We can take a look at let's see. The other thing I want to show you is these are just the actual air temperatures. We look at the dew point value. The dew point value at this time on Friday morning is around 26, 27 degrees. Now, here's the critical point of that. When you get precipitation, that temperature, which may be up here, and the dew point down here, are going to meet in the middle. We call it the wet bulbing. It's where that drier atmosphere starts to saturate, and these two numbers have to meet in the middle. So we'll get those surface temperatures to come down, and we'll get those dew point values to come up just a hair, but as more Arctic air kind of filters in, it kind of offsets the dew point value. So we'll end up probably right around 29, maybe 28 degrees at the coldest, I think, on Friday. That's bad for roadways. We talked about this the other day. About 29 degrees is where those roads really start to like to freeze up. And it's once they get down to 20 or 27, forget about it. They're all going to be sheets of ice. So we're at that very critical stage where Friday morning is likely going to be a big mess for everyone. And we should know that before any of you even wake up. So let's go to another, matter of fact, let me see real quick. Did I do the precipitation on this one? I don't think I did. Let's see. Okay. So in this particular run here, all right, so there's midnight Thursday. So there's an indication of the moisture around 3 a.m. The little pink area indicates freezing rain and freezing drizzle. And as we head into Friday morning, I mean, there's roughly that 32 degree line in blue. And you can see everywhere north of that boundary is where all the freezing rain is. So basically, again, where I outlined it here a moment ago, this is where all the freezing rain will start Friday morning. As you can tell, that's right over central Oklahoma. Now, we'll also have some accumulation with that. Here's another view of the precipitation type outlined for you. Green is rain. The pink here is freezing rain on Friday morning. And then the amounts, we're going to have to go to a different map for that, but we're definitely going to want to see what that does. Okay, so we'll go to, let's do this. Okay, so we'll go to the NAM model, and we'll go ahead and move it through time. So this is, again, 3 a.m. Friday, 6 a.m. on Friday now. You can see the pink area right here over the metro. As we go through time, there's Friday late morning, lunchtime, afternoon, in the evening. So what's interesting about this particular model is that it actually wavers the 32 degree line around. It actually kind of moved it to the west as the day went on a bit, and then on into the evening. Now I think that's overdone. I think once it sets up, it's not going to move. And we showed you already that's going to be on the east side of the Oklahoma City Metro, but on the west side of Tulsa. But as we go through time, it keeps the freezing rain pretty much in that same vicinity and then points west from there. Now, how much precipitation? Well, here's the deal. Through Friday or Saturday morning, the model is now starting to predict about a ½ inch of ice here in Oklahoma City. So this is all freezing rain, and that stretches on up north over Stillwater, and then back into Bartlesville. We're nearly an inch of rain up there. So there's going to be some pockets, some heavy ice accumulations, and that is an ice storm, and that will cause some power outages, and that will cause, of course, the roadways to be concerned about, and that'll definitely damage the vegetation. But it's in a thinner corridor because it's kind of anchored more along that cold front. Then, let's see here. We'll go to the parallel model. And this is interesting too because it kind of acts a little bit different with that Arctic boundary. So as we go through Friday morning, it has a lot less precipitation echoes on the screen. So it's not so robust with the moisture as the other versions were. It's a little bit drier, in other words, so a lot less accumulation. But Friday evening, it cranks up a little bit right here over central Oklahoma and some parts up to the north. So through Saturday morning, this is the other thing I wanted to point out, the Arctic front boundary, where the freezing line is, didn't really move. That's the difference in these higher resolution models where they try to throw in a few extra tricks to make them perform a little bit better. So that's what this one is, and it's saying the Arctic air is here to stay in Oklahoma City through Saturday morning. Now after that, again, I think it's going to be a slow process, but I think we'll start to warm up. Now temperatures here on Saturday morning, 32 degrees here in Oklahoma City, and 31 on the west side of town, 30 out toward El Reno, 32 down around Norman. So again, we're right at that point of the both freezing and melting point of water if you split 32 in half. Dew point values, though, are still in the upper 20s. So that means there's still room for that temperature to fall. So that still means we're underneath the ice threat for Saturday morning. But you can see how close that is. We're just talking about a few miles. That's why when you're trying to forecast this far out, so you guys can make your plans, I got news for you. You're going to have to err on the side of caution, and right now that's the way it looks for today. Let me show you a couple of other things, and I think that's pretty much it, and we'll start wrapping it up. This is the NAM model in a different view, and this is a kind of a more of a geeky weather view here, but it's good because it can show you a few things. Let's see if I can do this here. Okay. All right, so on this line, time goes this way from right to left. And all these bright colors of purple and green here on the bottom, that is all moisture, low level moisture, just a couple of thousand feet off the ground, and that's it. That's a very typical pattern what you see with freezing drizzle and very, very light freezing rain. Now the model, the other thing it does is produce some pretty strong lift in the atmosphere, and that is this area right here that I'm circling here in blue. Now you see those red contours. So that is around the 12Z time frame on Friday morning. In other words, that's 6 a.m. for our time. So that means, again, the morning rush on Friday, we should know what we're dealing with. And I think we're going to be dealing with some pretty good freezing drizzle and some light freezing rain that develops. The other thing that this model does is accumulate how much we'll see. And through Friday afternoon, so from morning to the afternoon, it's a little bit more aggressive. It's got 3/10 of an inch of ice accumulation. And then that's in addition to what we'll see overnight, Friday night to Saturday morning. So as far as the metro is concerned, I still think, let's see, I think I'm pretty much done with these maps, so go back to here. So again, what I think is we've got a situation to where we're probably at about a ½ inch of ice accumulations in the metro on the lighter side, as much as an inch if things go just perfectly horrific. If not, 3/4 of an inch or even less than that, maybe closer to that ½ inch. That's still a significant ice event here for the state. The good news is it's not a 48-hour window, but it's still going to be at least a 24-hour window. And it may be 24 to 36. It all depends on how we warm things up on Saturday. I still think it'll happen, but it may take until after lunchtime for that to occur. But when it does, any of that rain falling at those temperatures should help to continue to melt what's out there. It'll take a while. It won't all melt the ice immediately, but it will help to erode it. And then as that ice melts, because the temperatures will be between, I don't know, 33, maybe 34 degrees in the afternoon, that'll help to lessen the load on the power lines, your homes, the roofs, the trees, that kind of deal. So if you're going to get an ice storm, this is the best way to get one. It's in, it's out, we warm up, it thaws out, and then the weather following this looks great. We're not stuck in a rut, of an Arctic high that moves in and it just sits here all week and we suffer. So it's going to be a lot better to deal with in the long run. So all in all, that is the latest with this winter storm. Thank you for joining me. I hope this was helpful and educational and you got something out of it. Remind you to please check out my weather app. It's free. It's called AT's Weather to Go, and check that out and see if you like it. I'd appreciate that. And as always, please share the video with your friends and family, and keep checking back with me. I'll keep updating you guys. I'll do another Facebook Live tomorrow night, and then and then we'll do another one Thursday night, and might even do one on Friday. Of course, once the event starts, there's all the suspense is over with. You can look out your window or look at Google Maps and just see how bad the roads are from that point forward. But needless to say, it'll be an interesting way to see how things pan out this weekend. And I'll keep my eye on the weekend to see how the rest of Saturday and Sunday looks. By the way, Sunday still looks great. I didn't touch base on that earlier, but once we thaw out Saturday afternoon, there's no more threat of freezing precipitation. So that's the good news. We'll still get some heavy rainfall. Matter of fact, we'll probably get some flooding rainfall in some parts of the state, especially central and eastern Oklahoma. Probably another 2 to 3 inches of rain at most to go on top of whatever we get between now and then. So Sunday will be a wet day, stormy day. I don't know if it's too early to talk about severe weather in our part of the state. Down in Texas, it's a sure bet. You guys will see some down there. Might squeeze out here in southeast Oklahoma. We'll take a look at that threat later on, but kind of focused on the ice part for all this right now. No time for any questions this evening, besides most of you probably heading to bed. So, but again, share the video and I'll post a recap of it for you guys to look at in the morning and share that throughout the day tomorrow, and I'll update again then. So once again, I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Have a good one.